Have you thought about investing in the city of Detroit, but kind of sitting on the sidelines because you don't know where to start, or you already are an investor and you're worried about the pitfalls that come with moving into a city like Detroit to invest? Well, this video is for you. I'll be giving out some of my top picks for things to avoid when investing in Detroit, especially as an at-distance investor, and I'll be saving what may be the most important one for the end. I'm Butler. I'm a full-time realtor and I make videos just like this one, giving you all there is to know about Detroit. If that's something you want to see more, hit the like button and subscribe. All right, number one, which may be a little bit of a contentious one that I hear investors reaching out to me about and asking questions on, is the Detroit Land Bank Authority. So this one is definitely one that is the shiny object in the room. So many people see that, hey, you can buy a house for $1,000. What's that about? And I'm here to tell you that if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So the Detroit Land Bank Authority is a city-run organization that pretty much manages all the vacant properties and vacant lands in the city. And yes, there are $1,000 properties on their website that you can go ahead and buy it now and then you own them. But what you don't hear about is that when you sign that contract and purchase from the land bank, there's some stipulations that come with it. One of those is that you have to agree to a timeline to improve this property over a period that they suggest. Usually it's about 6 months. Of course, sometimes you can't get the renovation done within that 6-month period. So they'll give you an extension and work with you as long as you're showing progress on the property. You also have to turn in, pictures and status updates to show the progress being made on the project of the home. All in all, at the end of it, you have to be able to make the property livable within the time frame that they set. Or the big thing is they could possibly take that property back from you without any type of refund. Now, this definitely has happened in the past, but it's not the most common. But there are a ton of people fighting in court and things like that because the property that they bought from the land bank started putting work into, and then it was taken back because they didn't meet the guidelines. They had too many extensions and still didn't get the project completed. The problem with this is also that you're buying $1,000 property. There's a reason this property is $1,000. Well, a lot of times when we see these properties out there, they're gonna need a full-scale rehab. And that full-scale rehab may not be the $20,000 that you think is gonna be, or you hear some other YouTube guru say they did to get that property up. Most time, this property is gonna cost you a minimum of $50,000 to upwards of $100,000, depending on how large this property is. So at that point, you have to ask yourself, is this house in an area that I can sink $50,000, $60,000, $100,000 into and still make money on it in the long run? Or does it make sense? Or should I just go down the street and buy the house that's for sale for $85,000 that's already livable? Another thing is that these houses are usually already picked through by savvy investors or those who are influential in the community. And they've already decided, hey, these are the ones I don't want, so I'll leave those to the public and they can go ahead and buy them. They're usually in neighborhoods that are very underdeveloped and need a lot more investors to come in and infuse capital to make them livable in a solid area for the long run. Now, don't get me wrong, this is not all bad, and I don't think the Detroit Land Bank is just a totally bad place. If you're a very savvy investor, you know what you're looking for, you know the city well enough, and you have contractors in place to be able to do the work for you, this could be a great opportunity for you. But you have to know that you're gonna spend a good amount of money for sure to get these back to the standards that they need to be at, and you're on the timeline. All right, next up, here's another one that may be on somewhat of the common sense end, but at the same time, you never know. Anybody can get the wool pulled over their eyes for sure. And that's gonna be too good to be true off-market deals. All right, so how this one usually works is that there are people that are what we call scammers that will try to sell on land contract most likely, or rent out places that they do not own, they do not have any right to, and they are not legal professionals to do so. So you will see these where, hey, the house looks great. They actually took the pictures from an old listing or a current listing, and they put it on Craigslist or some of these off-market sites and things like that, send it straight to your inbox and tell you, hey, you can buy this house on land contract for 10 grand down. This is a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,600 square foot place that wouldn't make no sense for you to be able to purchase on land bank in this great area, fully updated. That's something that, hey, people say, hey, look, I don't quite have the credit. I, want to purchase a house. And they prey on people that are trusting and a little bit somewhat desperate to find housing. Same thing happens on the rental side, right? So they'll say that this house is for rent, $1,000 a month, great pictures, great area, and say we're not doing showings. Send in your application. They'll have a nice printed application. You'll send it in. They'll say, perfect, we're selecting you. Send in your $2,000-$3,000 deposit. And then as soon as you send that deposit, they say, hey, you can move in on the house on Friday. You show up to the house, moving truck and all, and the owner's like, what are you doing here? Who are you? It happens far too often. I had a funny story. It actually happened to a property my cousin purchased. He purchased the home. It was a triplex. When he pulled up to buy the house or to walk in the house for the first time after he purchased it, there was a lady outside moving in already. Somehow she had a key or the door was unlocked, something. She's moving in. He's like, who are you? She's like, I rent this place. He's like, I own this place. I don't know who you are. And long story short, he's able to come to an agreement, wrote a police for the lady. She had got scammed out of her security deposit, and he actually let her move into the house. I don't recommend that, but it worked out for him. So it's definitely something to keep your eye out. If you're seeing a place that's not coming through a realtor, that's coming from some random person, Joe Schmo at AOL 2023, or on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and they're offering you this steal of a deal, a lot of times it's probably too good to be true. So just beware. Lean on a trusted resource to take a look at it for you before you dive in. I hope you're getting something out of this and you learn something new. Make sure you drop a like down below. It goes a long way to helping this video do well and pushing out to other people who may be struggling with the same things. Drop a comment down below if you run into any of these issues, or you were afraid of any of these issues, or you have ones that you wonder about yourself that you want a little clarity on. I'm sure between me and our community, we can help figure it out for you. All right, number 3 on things to avoid when investing in Detroit or purchasing in Detroit in general. Hiring property managers that are not really property managers. So a property manager is a person that's supposed to manage your property, be your eyes and ears on the ground for you, especially if you're at a distance and investing in the city. Their services range from placing tenants, rent collections, repairs, maintenance, turnover if you need so, and eviction if you have to go that route. This person is actually supposed to be a licensed realtor or have their real estate license, preferably their broker's license. So that's definitely one red flag that if they don't have that, then they really shouldn't be property managing, literally, legally. One of the most common gripes I hear from out-of-state investors is that hey, they hired a property manager, was recommended by so-and-so, or they found them on some Facebook message board and they started working with them. Lo and behold, they never really got their rents paid. They took terribly long to find tenants, or they charged them a ton of fees when doing their work above and beyond the work that was actually needed on the property that they find out. This could definitely end up in a bad situation. You hear stories on the news and all types of different places where, hey, they hired a property manager, they sent them $20,000 to upgrade the property, and they never hear from them again. When you're looking for a property manager, make sure you get reputable recommendations. They should have some type of track record or professional footprint online or otherwise that you can find them and look them up, or have recommendations from other people who use their services that they can lend to you and they have no problem giving you the phone number of them. Also, beware of the contract that you sign when you're looking to hire a property manager. Make sure you read it through and understand that everything that you're signing up for, because sometimes you can run into the wrong property manager and you want to break the contract, but guess what? You got to pay out the ears to do so. So just make sure you're aware of the contract that you're signing. Also, make sure that it's their full-time deal, that they do property management full-time, or they at least work in the real estate industry full-time. My clients ask me all the time, like, thanks so much for helping me find a property or selling a property. Do you do property management? Because we trust you. And unfortunately, I always have to tell them no, but I can give you recommendations, because that's just not something that I do day in, day out. I would much rather have you in the hands of someone who lives, eats, and sleeps this versus me, who I am in the industry. I do work with properties all the time in the investment field, but that's not my main deal. So you want to find you a property manager who's That's their main deal. That's how they feed their family, because they're gonna have way more systems, they're gonna be way more organized and know the exact way to keep you out of trouble and handle your properties efficiently. All right, last but not least is number 4, and the one that definitely grinds my gears a little bit, and that's trying to go at it alone or direct to the listing agent. It's not a terrible strategy, but unless you have a ton of real estate experience, a license yourself, it's probably not a good route for a new investor at all. Many new real estate investors and some old school investors, they think that if they go directly to the listing agent, they're going to get some type of deal. This usually is not the case, because the listing agent's sole responsibility is to that seller. It's never going to be to you as the buyer as well. And also from the seller standpoint, he's already agreed to pay the full commission whether you have representation or not. So all you're doing is putting money back into the listing agent's pocket, and he can't give you any type of kickback or any type of consideration for it, because he worked for the seller. What's more than likely going to happen is that you're going to end up with no representation that you didn't have to pay for anyway. And then you're going to pay more for the property, or you won't get the same type of, insight or scope that you would have if you would have had representation about the property. More than likely not, it'll cost you in the long run. Not saying that's 100% of the time, but more often than not, this is how it goes. What you want to do is want to get your reputable buyer's agent or real estate professional to help represent you. It's not going to cost you anything. Having representation at the point of purchase is imperative. Then you probably want to grab you a full team, get you a property manager in place, get you some contractors on the horn, so you kind of have a real estate team in that city, especially if you're at distance. They're going to help you navigate the entire city and any business decisions that you have in there to make this a very smooth transaction for you. And it costs you absolutely nothing but time and attention for the most part. These are just a few things to look out for when you're investing in Detroit or any city for that matter, especially at distance. So if this is the type of content that you want to see more about, buying in the city, investing in the city, selling in the city of Detroit, make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below, drop a like on this video, and drop any comments you have down below as well. Appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.